What's happening with RJ Barrett right now proves that he is about to break out for this Toronto Raptors team, as there's been a lot of discourse regarding RJ Barrett over the course of this summer, regarding trades, regarding moves, regarding all that stuff, including his impending contract extension. But his approach to this offseason, his development is eerily similar to what we saw with DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry during the start of the golden age of Toronto Raptors basketball. So we're going to break down what RJ Barrett is doing, what he is saying right now. That is eerily similar to that peak era during Toronto Raptors time, 2014, 2015, when we started that Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan era, which all culminate into an NBA championship, of course, with Kawhi Leonard. So we're going to break down all these developments and why Raptors fans should be very, very excited. Now, on the surface, there's a few things. You can see what Darko Rajaković is saying about RJ Barrett right now, as he said that I think he's stronger. I think he's in elite shape. He did not play for Canada basketball this summer, which gave him more time to work on his game and his body. I think he's in a great place, to be honest with you, and I think he's going to have a great season. So that's something that Raptors fans can point to and get excited about. And we should, right? Darko Rajaković, he is very pro player. He is very supportive of his team, but there's a lot of specifics, and he went out of his way to really gas up RJ Barrett there. So that is something that should be taken positively. But of course, Darko Rajaković is going to say positive stuff. Why are we really feeling this about RJ Barrett? What's different this year? Because last season, RJ Barrett put up some phenomenal stats, and some people might look at that and say, hey, that in itself should be a reason for Raptors fans to get very, very excited. You know, he's 25 years old, and he's on an upward trajectory. 21 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. He shot 35% from the three-point line, 40% on corner threes. That is really solid statistics, and the best numbers put up by the Toronto Raptors, at least box score count last season, and was healthy, was the main guy last year, especially where Scottie Barnes dealt with some injuries over the course of last season. But this entire summer, there's been everyone trying to trade RJ Barrett. He's being brought up in a bunch of rumors. He's been brought up in this, and there's a couple of things that have Raptors fans worried about RJ Barrett this year. Firstly, it's how are all these trade rumors, how are all these things going to affect his mindset going into this season? And RJ Barrett directly addressed that. There's another one which we are going to get to and address, but RJ Barrett came out and spoke about all the rumors and everything that's going on with this team. And frankly, he has the right approach. He came out and said, obviously, this is the place I want to be. I would love to finish my career here with the Toronto Raptors. This is my home, but I think that with it, understanding the business aspect of it, and if you look at the contract situations and all that, it makes sense to put my name in there, right? So I don't take that personally. People are just looking at the numbers, looking at the figures, and looking at everything, and that's kind of would make sense. So I don't have any ill will or ill feelings towards it. All I can do is play my game and try to help the team win. Because at the end of the day, what negates all of that is if the team is winning, and there's no need for any of that. And he went on to, double down on this, saying, I was just born with a chip on my shoulder. I've had a chip on my shoulder ever since I was young. Everybody back home knew who my dad was, so I'd always get you're only here because of your dad. You're not that good. So I was born with that chip on my shoulder. So I want to win. I want to be known as a winner, and I want to win here. I want to be at home, in front of my family, in front of my friends, with this group, this organization. So that's where I want to be. So it'll be extra special for me personally to be here and to win here. So for everyone that's looking at RJ Barrett, say, hey, what's going on? The trade rumors, they're going to affect his game. It's going to affect... No, RJ Barrett is more locked in than ever, and probably after the season he had, as we just flashed up his numbers, he is going to be more motivated than ever to take his game to the next level, to prove to everyone, not in an ounce of spite, because, if you're fighting with anger and stuff like that, it's like, okay, he's going to sabotage his season or anything. No, he is motivated to prove people wrong and to win for this city, for the country, for everything like that. He is ready to rock. And when you have that motivation, you can take your game to the next level. But what is the other layer of criticism that has been thrown RJ Barrett's way? Well, a part of it was addressed by Wabi Webster out there in terms of his expectations for RJ Barrett this season. Because, of course, we look at this Toronto Raptors roster right now, and it is a lot more deep. There are a lot more expectations for this group, and RJ Barrett's going to have a tougher time in terms of getting the ball and getting all the usage that he had for the Toronto Raptors in recent seasons. He's playing with Immanuel Quickley that should be back in the lineup, hopefully healthy this summer. Immanuel Quickley came out and gave the quote that he is feeling stronger. He worked on his body a lot, so hopefully he'll be less brittle for these upcoming seasons. Of course, Scottie Barnes more consistently in the lineup. Brandon Ingram, who's going to be taking a lot of shots, as he should, for this Raptors team. And then, out there on the wings, he's competing. There's more competition for minutes with Gradey Dick, with Jacoby Walter, with Ochai Agbaji, with Jamison Battle, who had a really strong season last year. And then, heck, you can throw in AJ Lawson, Elijah Martin, and even Chucky Hepburn in terms of players that could be getting minutes for this Toronto Raptors team. So, again, there's the minutes aspect of it, but really what's going on is RJ Barrett isn't going to have the same level of usage for this Raptors group. And Bobby Webster came out and said at the start, we covered in recent videos, about how he expects RJ Barrett to be more efficient this season, to be able to play off of different people and, integrate himself well into this lineup, because the number of shots are going to be going down, but the efficiency, all that has to be taken to the next level. And that's where we should expect this breakout to happen, because yes, you might look at this and Bobby Webster has come out and directly stated that he is going to be willing to make moves. You see the last part of this quote here: the team won't be afraid to make change. I think you've seen that in my 12 years that I've been here after they evaluate this whole situation. But basically, Bobby Webster, the entire group, this entire roster is looking to win, and they will make changes if it's not going to happen. RJ Barrett is motivated to be on this team, to be on a winner, to do all this stuff. He's had quotes coming out, throwing shade to these other, former teams, the New York Knicks. Hey, these teams didn't pass the ball enough or anything like that, and he wants to fit in with this Toronto Raptors system. So these are all great things to see, and this quote, everything that's coming out, is eerily similar to what we saw with the Toronto Raptors back in that 2014 era. Back, if you don't remember that time, Masai Ujiri was just hired, so similar parallels, right? Bobby Webster just hired as to be the lead of this group. Of course, Bobby Webster was around the Toronto Raptors at that time as well, but the Raptors trade away Rudy Gay, a guy that was a big part of their franchise and stuff, and what that signaled to that group, what that signaled to that team is, hey, this Toronto Raptors squad, we are going to make changes if things aren't going to work out. And this is all the same sentiments that have been fired off to RJ Barrett in that direction. And we saw quotes from Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan, their approach right in the middle of all this happening. Kyle Lowry came out and said, that's when me and DeMar really sat down and were like, hey, what are we going to do? That is the conversation we had on a plane heading to OKC. We said, we got to pick this up and something about it right now. And I think that was the first time we both saw that we want to that want in each other's eyes. No knock against Masai, but we weren't going to let him control our fate. DeMar DeRozan said specifically as well, I remember having that conversation with Kyle, and there's a good chance that when we get off this road trip, we could be traded. And honestly, I was like, nah, we can't have that. We got to go balls out right now and win every single game until we get back to Toronto. And the reality was, Rudy Gay just got traded, and there's a possibility that's about to crumble. And I kind of put that necessary pressure on us, and that's what drove us. If you read that, and that is not similar to the quotes that are coming out right now from RJ Barrett, if they're not the same stuff that we're feeling now, the pressure, the chatter, the trade buzz that are going on with Immanuel Quickley, with RJ Barrett. I mean, we had these quotes playing this entire summer, the trade bait, trying to get a superstar, trying to get this. Of course, it didn't go through. Masai Ujiri ended up being the one that was canned, but basically, these were all the same sentiments. There's a parallel here right now with this Toronto Raptors team to what literally the most exciting, the greatest turnaround in Toronto Raptors basketball ever happened in history. And RJ Barrett has the exact same mindset. He has the exact same similar play style to DeMar DeRozan as well. I mean, things are just lining up perfectly. It is proving to Toronto Raptors fans that he is about to take that leap, about to take that step forward. So let me know what you guys think about all these quotes, all the stuff coming out regarding RJ Barrett. Are you excited for his development for this season? Do you expect that breakout? Let me know in the comment section down below. You guys best take as far. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Anyways, I'm signing out.